I'm Courtney Ingham, and I am a Western tropical astrologer. I offer weekly astrology reports every Monday featuring the planetary and lunar energies for the week ahead. All times mentioned are in Eastern Standard Time. Becoming a subscriber is free, and all subscribers get additional free content. Becoming a paid subscriber is only $5 a month and helps to support this podcast. Paid subscribers receive discounts off of my readings and other offerings. Enjoy the show. Hello, Astro friends. Today I'm offering a very special report outside of my weekly overviews on the lunar nodes. The reason that I'm offering this is actually because we are in the midst of a very important astrological occurrence where the lunar nodes, currently in Taurus and Scorpio, will be switching on July 16th and 17th to Aries and Libra. And this is going to be something that's a very important shift in our collective awareness as this affects all of us. And it's something that we can reflect upon personally as well. So I'm going to be talking about this as far as the big picture goes and what the implications are, as well as how you can personally look at and evaluate the potentials that will be available for you in this new energy. But first, let's talk about what the nodes are. So the nodes are a mathematical point determined by the moon's orbit. You can get really sciencey and technical if you want and research this. They are not planets. The nodes are actually an axis. So we have a north node and we have a south node based on the moon's orbit. And these nodes move counterclockwise, which is the opposite direction of planets. They're very different from planets in these ways. And the north node is 180 degrees from the south node, or opposite in the opposite sign as the north node. And the north node is considered the direction that we are pointing our arrows in, we are aiming towards, we are moving in this lifetime. It's considered, our North Star. Like, to consider a fulfillment of what we came here to do, we'd want to be on track as far as our North node is indicating. And we would look to the sign and the house that North node is in order to make a consideration about what that is telling us and where we should aim our arrows. And of course, there's other factors that would be things that are very, very important to consider, including what are the aspects. You have a planet that is conjunct your north node. That is incredibly important to understand. It's going to be affecting the message of your north node. And if you have squares or you have oppositions to your north node, what is that about? And, a square to the north node, because it is 180 degrees from the south node, if you think about it, is going to be a square to the south node. So likewise, you also want to look at the south node energies, and you want to understand what's conjunct to your south node. What is aspecting the south node, and where is your south node? Because that is energy that you have mastered in previous lifetimes. And it is what we're trying to, we're not aiming towards in this lifetime. So if we were very comfortable in our south node energies, and you can look at the house and sign and understand that more for yourself. However, that is something that we can consider we've mastered. And we need to master something else to grow in this lifetime. And that's where we would look to our north node. The south node can often be considered like the overdeveloped parts of ourselves, or, like I like to call it, the comfort zone. We can stay comfortable and we can stay in the South Node, and lots of people like to do that. That's fine. However, if you are here to grow, and I do think most people are, then we probably aren't going to want to focus on staying comfortable. We're going to want to focus on what we're developing in this lifetime indicated by the North Node. Now, we can look back to the times previous when we had the North Node in Aries, which was December of 04 to June of 06. So you can take a moment and reflect. What were some of the themes that came up for you then? And then previous to that, it was April of 1986 to December 1987. So if you're old enough to have lived and had experiences during that time, you can look back and see what were some of the themes that occurred for you. And also, if you want to get a idea of what this next 18 months would potentially be about for you, you can look at the house that you will be experiencing the energies of Aries in. This is where you may need to be or find yourself taking an initiative, taking action on whatever area of life that house is revealing for you. And the dissolving, potentially around relationships, is going to be happening wherever that opposite energy in Libra is. So pull out your charts if you are interested in getting a more in-depth analysis of how this energy may be reflecting for you, and or you're interested in just learning more about your personal North and South nodes, sign up for a reading with me. I am going to offer discount nodal readings for a limited time. And I will be doing those for $40. That's going to be a 30-minute reading. A lot of times they go over, but let's just say, for the sake of those who would like to know exactly what they're getting, 30-minute reading on your personal nodal energy that will be reflecting the sign, house, and aspects to your North and South node, as well as a outlook for where the current nodal shift is going to be happening for you and what that looks like. So if you're interested in that, just send me an email at courtneybuk@gmail.com. This is a great, fabulous, fantastic graduation gift, because think about it. Those graduates going off to college or going off into the workforce could really benefit the most from knowing what their North Node, their highest spiritual potential, what they came here to do, is all about. I mean, think about that. So this is not something that I'm going to be offering long term. This is just a brief offering. If you are interested, please make sure you get a hold of me soon and book with me. Now, before I do an analysis of the North and South node in an example chart, I'd like to visit some of the energies that are coming up for us as we shift into this Aries North node, and what we are going to be leaving behind with the Libra South node energies. So let's first examine this movement from the Taurus North node and what we have learned, or what the point of this North node in Taurus has been. So in Taurus, one of the biggest themes that we have is around values. And you may have noticed this, if you look back at the last 18 months, a major shift in regards to values. And the South node has, for the last 18 months, been in the sign of Scorpio, and in this, the lower Scorpio energies have been dissolving. And what we've seen, if you reflect over the last 18 months, is some of these lower energies around corruption and power around manipulation and even obsession, especially in the topics of sex. Sex trafficking is a big one, sex scandals. Just some really like dark, manipulative energies. Those are things that came more into like a mainstream view than they ever have before. I understand they're still very much suppressed, but I don't believe I've ever known these to really come into the light so much as they have in the last 18 months, which is absolutely amazing. And this is a part of the process that we can notice that happens with the transiting shift in these north-south nodes that happen every 18 months is when things do shift and things do start to come up to be dissolved. That coming up part is a big part of the process. So don't feel discouraged if in the shift that's about to happen and we go into, these Libra lower energies with the South Node being in Libra, that some really, dark stuff from the past relationships, themes around relationships and patterns comes up. It's coming up to dissolve. You have to keep that in mind, okay? So as we move away from this Taurus North Node that's all about aligning with our truth, all about aligning with our values and coming into our values more, we're going to be moving into the North Node sign of Aries. And this is where we embody those values. This is where in the Aries energy, we really take action upon them. Okay, so we sat with them in this Taurus energy, and now this cardinal sign of Aries, we're going to be activating. Okay, so it's also an energy where we focus on the self, where we tune into and have a stronger sense of ourselves. This is where we gain a sense of being independent. And it's also a very courageous energy. Again, it's where we take action and we stand up for ourselves, where we're heroic. We embody our sense of sovereignty, and we take actions out of this, okay? So that's why you really want to know, what house is this affecting? Where is this energy going to be for you? And where will you be acting from your deep inner knowing of yourself? Where is that self-development really going to come online in the next 18 months? And Aries is also about instinct. So we can look at that as being a place where we have strong instincts, okay? And if we look at the continuum as we moved from Taurus to Aries, this is really where we can understand this development of around our values, and also where we're shrugging off values that didn't really serve us, right? Now, Aries is also a sign where we act without apology. Like, we are unapologetic about who we are. We know who we are. Like Aries people know who they are and have a deep, deep sense. Like, this is me. This is how I'm showing up. Take it or leave it. There are no excuses and there are no apologies. And in the Libra energy, on the other hand, especially the lower energies of Libra, because again, South Node, lower energies, okay? This is where we're going to really have a lot of relationship stuff come up. We're going to really reflect on how we are in relationships, patterns we've had, and just relationships that generally are not serving us. Those things might just fall away. And you may have already seen this really start to happen as you've gotten more in touch with your values in the last 18 months anyway. With Libra, we are looking at the dissolving of the lower energies and patterns around relationships, which could very much mean things like codependency, things like attachment, things like seeking external harmony, or this idea that everything's okay as long as they change. Like, it's not really, it's like the opposite of the Aries energy, that the Libra energy is looking outside of itself and expecting things to change outside. It's people pleasing. It's that customer service face that you put on for other people, and then when they leave, you're like, oh gosh, that really was terrible interaction, like it's very false in that way. And it is also the places where we overcompromise. We put relationships before ourselves, and so we kind of throw ourselves under the bus, or we're likely to do that. You can think of patterns or ways that might resonate with that. It's where we're conflict averse. Libra very much does not like conflict. It will avoid it at all costs. And can therefore suppress true feelings, suppress true emotions in order to not rock the boat. And this is anti-Aries energy. Like Aries is going to say what they think and not worry, not think twice about rocking that boat. That boat's just getting rocked all over the place, and you just have to try to hang on with that Aries energy. And it's very Libra energy, lower vibe Libra energy is very over focused on fairness to the extremes, and to the point where it can really abandon itself, its own well-being, like looking out for the others to the point where it's like, oh, here I am with nothing, and here I am, I haven't fed myself, I've been worried about this, and I feel like we really are living in a time when it's pretty extreme how much focus there is on keeping everybody else happy and walking on eggshells and, being overtly politically correct. And even when you're trying really hard, you can still really mess up in this day and age. So we may see that what dissolves is some of these self-deprecating ways where we have been really out of alignment and as we're over-focused on fairness, we've really just managed to be self-deprecating and throw ourselves under the bus. So as we step into this greater self-awareness in the Aries energy, the lower Libra vibes of being self-deprecating can really fall away. It's just a natural process that can happen. So just noting that these are things that are really going to be on spotlight to just be aware of. If you have patterns around this that are already pretty extreme and intense or have been showcased for you, these are going to come up to dissolve. So yay, let them come up, have a little celebration, and then see them off. Thank you for being here. See you later. That's the energy we want to embody. Okay, I actually am going to look at a chart for a recent grad. And this person happens to have her north node in the sign of Aries. And for the sake of this, keeping this anonymous, I'm going to call this person SR. And SR has her north node in Aries, her south node, therefore, in Libra. So what we are seeing is that, and this will be the case for most people who are graduates around the age of 18, is when you have a nodal return or your first nodal return. Okay, so this is going to be happening about once every 18 years, and this person is going to be experiencing a return of her node, her north and south nodes. Okay, so this will definitely be bringing up the places where she's going to want to focus on developing. Perfect timing, being 18, off to college, right? What are those areas for this person? And I'll also talk a bit about some of the aspects. What are the areas of life and themes that you are here to develop with your north node in the sign of Aries? Independence, of course, because Aries is very independent. Self-awareness. That would be trusting your own impulses. Courage. And we'll look at the house placement so you can see specifically where independence and self-awareness and courage is going to be applied. Okay? You are focusing on self-nurturance. And to put it another way, let's look at some of the themes of what SR is leaving behind. And These also might be comfort zones. This might be very difficult. Like when you hear, wow, what are the things that I'm supposed to be focusing on? You might be like, I really don't want to because I'm not good at that. Yeah, because you spent multiple lifetimes focusing on the opposite. That's just natural, okay? But if we continue to focus on the South Node things that I'm going to, reiterate what these are for SR in Libra, then that growth is going to be greatly impacted by not focusing on the more challenging things that we're trying to develop with the North Node, okay? So, SR, in this lifetime, you're leaving behind the ways in which you've focused on seeing yourself through other people's eyes, and use that as your reference point for your personal achievements and success. That's not where you're aiming your arrow in this lifetime. You're to dive deep within yourself and find for yourself, what is it that you want, you desire? What are your truths? What are your values? And let that be your compass. Putting others first and prioritizing relationships over your own values and desires. Leave it all behind, SR, okay? And remember, that is not selfish, though it may be helpful to reassess dogmas around that idea of selfishness. Obsessing over being kind and nice and friendly and that customer service appeal that we already spoke about, leave it behind. Being obsessive about what is fair, what is just, what is balanced. And this is kind of that tit for tat mentality that, in a relationship, so to speak, if that person didn't do this for me, I'm not going to do that for them. Nope. Leave it all behind. And then I would say codependency. Codependency, and in that sense, attaching to external validation, only being happy when everything around you is the way that you quote unquote want it to be, need it to be, and there's always peace and harmony. So not being so, conflict averse. These are things that you want to be aware of and you want to leave behind. SR has her North Node in the 6th house. This is considered the Virgo house, and I feel very comfortable talking about this because of that reason, because my North Node is in Virgo. So there's some themes that will be similar. So we just talked about the sign of Aries that you're aiming for, SR. Now we're going to talk about the house that your North Node is in, so that you can have a deeper understanding of what you are aiming for. So this means that your South Node is in the 12th house, which means your past experiences have been related to 12th house areas and aspects, meaning that the spiritual realm and your intuition and things of this nature are very well developed, okay? Your instincts are right on, and you should not in this lifetime question them. You should rest in the places that you've developed in your past life. But in this lifetime, there's more of a structured 3D development that's being asked to take place. You're asked to focus not so much on the, sort of hazy realm of dreams, realm of the subconscious, realm of meditation, realm of mysticism, realm of intuition. You've got that. You've nailed it. So in this lifetime, you're focused a bit more on these mundane aspects of feeding yourself, taking care of yourself, meeting your goals and your personal needs. In other words, supporting the physical body, whereas in past lives you were more focused on supporting your spiritual self. Really understanding that the body is a temple and really embodying this as a practice of self-care, which is also embodying the understanding that your everyday mundane existence, what you do, where you go, what you eat, is very sacred. and the body in your physicality is very sacred. So it's imbuing this lifetime with these things that you understood and you got very clearly and very deeply in your past life about your spirituality. But now you're going to bring this into the material realm as far as you especially physically go and your body, and you're going to take the same pride in yourself and your physical body and taking care of yourself and meeting your needs and having supportive habits that are sacred. Like we think of, showering and meditating and maybe exercising as these superfluous things sometimes, but these are very important structures for you to put in place in almost like a religious or sacred way in this lifetime to support you. And the same goes for work. Your approach to work, whatever it is you choose to do, will be a sacred practice. And you won't probably find yourself doing work or jobs that don't feel meaningful to you. So any practice that brings a sense of consciousness to the mundane, like, your schedule, your errands, your habits, and your work will be very fulfilling and fruitful for you as well. In a past life, you very well could have shunned all things that had to do with this mundane existence that required you to care for yourself, to eat, that kind of thing. It could have been fasting in order to achieve like this really high state of profound spiritual consciousness. And those are not things that you're to forsake in this lifetime. The benefits of the practice you had from your past life is what you want to use to inform this life, where you are practicing using your intuition and your ability to manifest based on what you have, all those big gains by being completely selfless in a past life, and to make sure you are taking care of yourself and that you are the one that is forging your way as far as that's concerned. It's taking responsibility for looking out for you and not relying upon others, and also taking responsibility to be your own leader, for guiding yourself, for following your own instincts, for believing in yourself, and not relying upon others for approval. It's taking care of your health. You have a major focus on that. Doing what it takes. So, if you were doing 6th house matters from a Pisces way, you would be like, oh, nope, I trust everything's fine and I'm good and my health is good and I don't need to take my vitamins or eat a salad. And while that might be 100% true, and I'm not discrediting that, this isn't the lifetime where that's what you're doing. You're actually saying, okay, my body has physical needs and I'm the one that's in charge of meeting them. So these are the things I need to do every day. Here's my list. I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to eat my salad. I'm going to exercise. Taking care of the physical body is really important for you to take charge of in this particular lifetime. These could be considered more mundane aspects of life, more, sort of boring. It's also, holding down a job and having a routine. And yet, what you may find in doing this is a great amount of fulfillment, and that when you really have a schedule and when you really have a routine and when you're really, really dedicated to your work, things fall into place and you have more harmony. So this is really, really important for you to take charge of and you to be looking out for yourself in regards to these kinds of, mundane things. Also, service is a huge part of the 6th house. So how can you serve others? You will very much benefit from putting the practice of service at the top of your list of things to do. So it means giving back to others, especially as far as your work in this world goes. You can make a massive impact not only on others, but for yourself when you are making sure you have some level of dedication in regards to service to others, okay? And that is where the Aries part comes in, is like, your own self-interests are going to be tied in to the service of others. This could also be taking care of pets, small animals. You might find that your life is more harmonious if you have a pet. Things will really click for you if you focus on the details, focus on the things that other people may feel too laborious. Those are things that you're actually going to thrive in focusing on. And again, this could be very boring things like having a schedule for yourself and having routines. They are going to be very supportive for you, though. Now, SR, I'm going to talk about one of the aspects that you have going on to your North Node, and that is a square from Saturn. So Saturn is squaring your North Node. And oftentimes when we see this, it can indicate self-inflicted burdens or a feeling of being overly responsible, taking too much responsibility for others, in other words, because Cancer is the sign that you have Saturn, and Cancer is all about nurturing, and you have Saturn there, which can be a very limiting planet. So there are some stresses, there are some difficulty around ways of nurturing. Yeah, there's some restriction on your ability to nurture others. You may feel resentful about having to provide that for others, and that is something to come to terms with. That is something to just understand, because it can be very limiting for yourself and your own personal development to have this, especially because you do have your North Node in the 6th house of service to others. This is something that you're going to need to have some kind of reconciliation around in order so that you can fulfill the North Node aspects. Now, this Saturn, this oppressiveness from Saturn is coming from your 9th house of beliefs, religion. And this very well could be themes around, religion and how it's sort of standing in the way of your development, in your way forward. Those are things to examine. It also is going to be squaring your South Node, which is in the 12th house. And this could be past lives where you have been oppressed by religion. So that would be seemingly par for the course as far as religion goes. And could be very much a theme that you in this lifetime need to rise above. There's definitely seeming to be a past life theme of religious persecution that you're supposed to overcome in this lifetime, not allowing religion to define you, not allowing others to tell you what religion to be, that kind of thing, finding your own way of belief and religion. And it can also be belief and religion from childhood that has been very oppressive to you, that you need to find, your own way around what you believe, around religion. You need to individualize as far as that's concerned. Forge your own path forward. Be a pioneer. You may go different direction than your family, than the way you were raised. And this is a very important thing for you to do, a challenge for you to rise to. So if that's been coming up at all, that is another area that would be very important, SR, for you to explore. Okay, so I think that's a good sort of summary for this big shift that we are going to be experiencing in the upcoming weeks as we move into the North Node in Aries. And again, if you're interested in having a very special nodal reading with me for $40, please get in touch with me. And I welcome any comments, any questions that you may have in regards to the nodes, especially. It's something that I have really enjoyed about astrology. It's one of my focuses when I do any reading. I find that I tune into the North Node, South Node energies of a chart, because this really can point out the big themes, the big struggles, the big concepts that people are dealing with pretty immediately. Okay, and I will be back on Monday with the weekly overview as always. Take care. thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. And if you have any comments you'd like to leave, I enjoy hearing from you and would love to communicate with you in the comments to hear how the energies are landing for you. And if you happen to have a friend who you think will enjoy this podcast, please do share it with them. I'm back every Monday with your weekly overview on my Substack account at courtneyingham.substack.com.